come in very, very high cost in situations. And we have a discussion between our families concerning the appropriation of these political actions. When Seton came to the master, came to Confucius concerning a sacrifice of animals in order to possibly make some sort of ritual action in relation to another town, he asked the master, are these cows really necessary? I mean, they cost me quite a deal of money. And Confucius said to his disciple, if you're concerned about the cows, I'm concerned about the ritual. Denoting the idea that this ritual action is critical in order to produce the common way of communication, and thereby not lead to any sort of miscommunication, which would be greatly invalid. Now, considering that ritual action, the final which I would like to ask is concerning the total story of that ritual action. In Confucius' time, we do see many ideas concerning a lot of rituals and many different forms, which we may see to be practically common day. But at the same time, we must all recognize the idea of these ritual actions do continue to the common day, especially with actions which we may perform every day, common business transactions such as shaking one's hand. If I were to shake Master's hand at the current time, it would be a symbol of allegiance, it would be a symbol that I am welcoming him into my presence so that we can go and communicate on an equal level, not as one individual above another, as it may be today, but as an individual communicating to another person in order to possibly share details in which they could achieve a common goal, understanding the other individual.
Well, okay. John, what you kind of went over in a very long way, but it can really be summed up in three main points, is that ritual and right action are based on three ideas. Dispel doubts of your intentions, that I know exactly what your way is, what your main goal is by your actions. The second one is to invite cooperation. Through my actions, usually within ritual actions for greeting someone, for accepting a gift, or even beyond that, in terms of ritual actions for donating and things like that, I'm trying to invite cooperation from everyone around me so I can ensure that I have the community around me to support me. And then lastly, it lays down a framework for operations. By having a set of ritual actions that can be counted on, you can have a framework understood regardless of language, regardless of setup, regardless of any possible influence over your actual deal. They can actually help you to get it done. And honestly, to me, that is ritual action. Really simple than that.
But at the same time, actually, we must not oversimplify this process and make it stagnant by doing so. Let's recall a simple example that might occur today in China itself. At the current time, Chinese GDP growth has been averaged about 10% a year for the past decade. And many of these situations, urban areas such as Shanghai, or Hong Kong, or even Beijing, have been totally crowded with factories. So these individuals are now going into the rural countryside in order to produce many of the goods which they previously had produced in larger urban settings. Now, there may be several instances where these moving into this countryside might need a different set of protocol, which will come with their own costs and with their own different types of availability. Let's reflect upon the simple example of that CEO were going to a village. Now, that CEO may go around and shake every individual's hand in very firm and well-known action in order to describe some sort of sense of brotherhood, but that individual may later, in 6 months or 1 year's time, build a factory in that same village. But at the same time, if that individual were to have to endow $10,000 to $1 million for some other large sum of money to create a school system in that area, then that may actually change the nature of the ritual action and may affect how that ritual action is taken.
Okay. So then we're going to relate that back to Confucius himself. So chapter 4, verse 5, riches and honors are what men desire. They cannot be obtained in the proper way, then they should not be held. Poverty and meanness are not what men dislike. They cannot be avoided in the proper way, then they should not be avoided. So by bringing ritual action and the way together, you're able to get real Confucian thinking, in the sense that there's proper things to do and there's correct action that must be taken. Failure to do so is almost defaulting in your constitutional way. And that will reflect back on you as a man. If you don't have your way, if you don't have your goals, then you don't actually exist as a gentleman in society. In a way, you could relate it back to Western chivalry, but it's almost beyond that in the sense that there's more to think about than just your lords and your nobles. You actually have to think about the people. Confucius was a realist when you think about it, that he worried that the regular people could come up with a revolution. It didn't have to just be the lords and the nobles you had to worry about. So in that sense, you can get the way can be violated by the fact of not having ritual action. And if ritual action involves, say, promoting education, as Confucius would have enjoyed, that can actually increase your costs beyond anything you could have imagined. If you were looking at a territorial issue, or you were looking at just a geographical issue for building something and worrying about cost there, all of a sudden you have to consider maybe you have a 15% increase in cost just because you have to build a school system to educate people, or you have to go out and improve their housing before they're even going to allow you to build something there.
Max, let's consider as a final example the example of Google in China. In many instances, the virtual actions which are currently describing may not cost so much, and may in fact coincide with Confucius' other ideas concerning the way. Concerning Google in China, Kung Li, the current vice president of Google in China, has previously stated several slogans of a corporation which describe the way in which that corporation won't interact with the Chinese public. The most prominent and controversial of which is to do no evil. Now, what this slogan, do no evil, is very, very different from other business practices, especially in the United States, in that most corporations, such as the Ford Motor Corporation, when creating a slogan, creates that slogan for primarily a public relations purpose. Or the Ford Motor Corporation has a slogan like a rock. Now, they may not use that slogan like a rock in many other business transactions, but Google itself does. Google has used don't do evil, not only promoting itself as a corporation which has the ability to gain a market share agenda, but also as a way of dealing with both the government and the public, and the idea that they will not join themselves into ventures which would possibly create controversy surrounding the corporation.
Steve, John, that's where I disagree. Do no evil is actually a PR move as far as I'm concerned. It has nothing to do with being a way. If it was a way that based every decision on it, then they never hear from it. But the main concept of do no evil as far as Google brings it up is that they're trying not to put too much undue pressure on the market that they're intervening into. Whereas you see generally when a large company enters a new market, they push out all of the smaller, mom and pop shops, and everyone all of a sudden has high unemployment. Google doesn't seem to account for that, not at least in a lot of technology sectors. Google is very willing to push itself out into the rest of the world, and it's very willing to push out everyone who's homegrown in that section and cause unemployment, as opposed to actually going out there and supporting the people who they've unemployed, as opposed to actually dealing with the people in general and earning their support. So in a way, to me, that's just a PR maneuver. And honestly, I don't think any American consumer would be disturbed if Google suddenly did something that we saw as evil, even though they have a slogan.
Well, respectfully disagree with you, and as a final comment in this presentation, I would take the example of Lenovo, the prominent Chinese computer corporation started on Beijing University's campus. Itself also promotes various methods in which it promotes itself through using slogans which vary very much in one way. And a perfect example which can be found when one compares IBM's website and Lenovo's website. Lenovo's website is very, very much concerning good business practices. They talk about how they give back to the community. They talk about how they reinvest into the educational systems of the community. But they also talk about all their good products. They talk about the ideals in which they create their products and selling it to the greater market. IBM, on the other hand, an American corporation who has found itself selling units to Lenovo. Instead, on its corporate website, it merely has its business ideals, those slogans which it may use, as you previously said, for marketing purposes, but not which it uses in order to promote its corporate cause.
Well, I just want to relate back to one other example, which is the operation of Walmart in China. Walmart in general is... You really want to cut? Okay, we'll cut. But, just quickly, the operation of Walmart in China bases its operation in America on pushing out all of the smaller stores, whereas in China it's been forced to unionize. The main understanding that even the government is supporting some kind of right action has to be taken to support the people.
That's conclusion.